Special Operations Forces are the most highly disciplined, mission-capable forces and formidable units in the world. They go through rigorous selection processes and training in order to conduct unconventional warfare tasks that are beyond the means of standard military forces. This list looks at 10 of the special forces from around the world that have the honor of being the most elite and consequently badass. The truth is, the world may never know exactly what these teams have accomplished, but their public records contain enough to earn global respect. In no particular order, these are 10 lethal special operations units from around the world. So today we will delve into the top 10 badasses of the world's special forces. Number 10. Russian Spetsnaz. Whereas most of the training regiments of militaries around the world are designed to teach Russia's special purpose regiments, equivalently to the US Green Berets. They endure punishment daily throughout their training, but they may quit anytime they want. The Spetsnaz want only the best, pain-hardened, battle-loving killers. They spar with the express goal of injuring each other, like breaking ribs, fingers, vertebrae, healing only long enough to get back on their feet and complete the training. They are typically deployed for reconnaissance or house-to-house close-quarters combat, but are also employed as extremely formidable bodyguards for high-ranking politicians. They claim that they are not taught to ignore pain, since that is impossible. They are instead taught to enjoy it. Russia's baddest Spetsnaz is shrouded in mystery, but it dates back to the Red Bolshevik Guard, a paramilitary force organized during the height of the Russian Revolution in the early 20th century. Most of its members are comparable to US Army Rangers, but an elite few only trains like a Delta Force. Number 9. Britain's Special Boat Service. Special Boat Service is born out of World War II. Today, the SBS remains one of the most well-respected units in the world. Since 9/11, the Special Boat Service has been deployed against Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the Taliban, as well as on rescue missions around the globe, including in Sierra Leone and Libya. Not by strength, by guile is the motto of the Royal Navy's Special Boat Service, one of the United Kingdom's most secretive and elite military units. The SBS is the UK's equivalent of the US Navy SEALs. The selection process for the elite team has a 90% failure rate and includes a grueling 4-week endurance test. That grows increasingly more challenging and concludes with a 40-kilometer march that's 24.8 miles for fellow Yankees, which must be completed in under 20 hours. And that's just stage 2 of training. Graduates will master weapons handling, jungle training, complex fighting, and combat survival before they are officially inducted into the elite unit. Members of the Royal Marines are chosen to join the elite band of SBS members only after a grueling physical and mental selection process. The focus of their operations tends to be from the sea, but they also operate inland. Number 8. US Army Rangers. After basic Army training, voluntary enlistment into the 75th Ranger Regiment will train the recruit for the Halo parachute jump, SEER, languages, elite combative expert, mountain warfare, combat diving, in addition to all the weapons qualification training. After 9 weeks of this, they enroll in advanced individual training to become masters of their chosen fields, then immediately enroll in the Army Airborne School. Then in Ranger indoctrination or orientation programs. By the time they've graduated, they're so well trained that members have reported waking up screaming from nightmares about Ranger School to be relieved that they are only in Vietnam. But then, they lose a few points for an incident because of a ranger told that he was the captain of a tank regiment on maneuvers in the Amazon jungle. For it was just an exercise, but because of the sweltering heat, they had to open their tank hatches. This captain, who shall remain nameless, heard a thump behind him and turned to see a Goliath bird-eating spider crawling toward him, raising its front legs and hissing. Number 7. The Special Services Group in Pakistan. Business Insider reported that training for the Pakistani Special Services Group requires a 36-mile march done in 12 hours and a 5-mile run in full kit in 20 minutes. Created to combat terrorism, extremism, and separatism, SSG training consists of grueling physical conditioning, airborne school, a 25-week commando course, and hand-to-hand combat training. Reportedly, only 5% of recruits complete the rigorous training. Due to their location, they are kept actively engaged in counter-terror missions. From hotspots along the India-Pakistan border to the ongoing conflict in Afghanistan to Operations RB-ASB, a joint military offensive targeting terrorist organizations, the SSG goes where the fire is hot. Number 6. MARSOC. Currently, only men are allowed to try out for the U.S. Marine Corps Forces Special Operations Command. Its primary missions are typically special reconnaissance, direct action, and internal defense within foreign nations. Their training regimen comprises 4 phases, increasing in strenuousness. Phase 1 is SEER training, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. They are trained to make fire by friction, fire by mirrors, even fire by ice, depending on the location to which they are deployed. You mold the ice with the heat of your hands into the shape of a lens, which works just like a magnifying glass. Of course, they take matches and Zippos with them. After this, they begin physical fitness training and hand-to-hand combat, practicing a hybrid of the most functional martial arts: Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun, Karate, Jiu-Jitsu, even Pankration. Then, Seok Kali, which is a Filipino knife fighting. This is just phase 1. Phase 2 is marksmanship, amphibious demolitions, reconnaissance. Phase 3 is a continuation of 2, but with the addition of field radios and satellite data uplink systems. Phase 4 is irregular warfare instruction, which is a euphemism for anything goes. This phase consists primarily of the Derna bridge operation, which forces the recruits to use all skills acquired during the course. Number 5. MI6. The closest thing to James Bond can be found in the personnel of the UK's Secret Intelligence Service, or Security Service, Section 6. It works in close partnership with Section 5, MI5, the latter which is more of a pure spy agency, dedicated to counterintelligence and counter-espionage. MI6, however, is the unit that deploys its agents all over the world to detect international intelligence threats and neutralize them before they become truly dangerous. Their headquarters is at Vauxhall Cross, London, and they will be quick to tell you there that there is no James Bond among them and that their assignments and missions are quite boring. They do, however, have an agent very similar to Q who is in charge of all equipment and weaponry deployed for each operation. They also have indoor firing ranges, dojos, and a gym. Number 4. Spain's Special Naval Warfare Force. The Special Naval Warfare Force was created in 2009 when the country merged different units of the Spanish Navy into one combatants entity. The Fuerza comprises the Special Combat Divers Unit, Special Explosive Diffusers Unit, and the Special Operations Unit is its main tactical predecessor. The Special Operations Unit was responsible for maritime counter-terrorism, combat diving, amphibious insertion, combat search, rescue, and ship boarding on that today's elite unit that carry on the fight. They have a strong history of utilizing those tactics in hostage rescue and pirate confrontation. In 2002, the Hombre Rana supported Operation Enduring Freedom in the Indian Ocean when they stormed a North Korean vessel transporting Scud missiles to Yemen. Then, in 2011, they rescued a French hostage from Somali pirates. And that's just what's known to the public. Like the other elite units on this list, most of their missions remain classified. Number 3. Shaded 13. The name means Flotilla 13, and their official motto is the same as the Israeli military: never again, in reference to the Holocaust. Their unofficial motto, as they like to joke, is when the going gets tough, the Jews get pissed. They are one of the 3 most elite Israeli Special Forces units, but Shaded 13 is the unit most similar to the Delta Force. They specialize in hostage rescue and counter-terrorism, and because they live so close to a host of nations that seem bent on eradicating them, they are at all times ready in an instant to travel abroad and kill. They are very secretive, but of their missions publicized, the most notable include Operation Spring of Youth, in which they hunted down members of Black September in Beirut, Lebanon and killed them, in revenge for the 1972 Munich massacre. Apart from their firearms and heavy weapons training, they train extensively in Krav Maga, the national martial art of Israel, to which they endearingly refer as Jiu-Jitsu. Its philosophy is based on the principle that in a real street fight, no quarter will be asked or given. Fight to kill. Number 2. Navy SEALs. You might think there are a lot of them, given the number of action movies dedicated to the plot device of an invincible warrior, but there are only about 2,000 of them. They are the United States' most elite special warfare combatants. They are trained in all the fields in which the other U.S. Special Forces are trained, but to an even higher degree of competency. SEAL training lasts over a year and requires an age of between 17 and 28 years, male with incorrect vision no worse than 2200ths in either eye and correctable to 20/20ths, and the physical screening test, which is beyond belief. 500 yards of swimming just using breast or combat side stroke in under 12 minutes and 30 seconds, with a competitive time of under 10 minutes and 30 seconds. At least 42 push-ups in 2 minutes with a competitive count of 79 or more. At least 50 sit-ups in 2 minutes with a competitive count of 79 or more. At least 6 pull-ups from a dead hang, no time limit, with a competitive count of 11 or more. Run 1.5 mi in boots and trousers in under 11:30 with a competitive time of 10:20 or less. Then the training begins. Physical conditioning, diving, land warfare for 24 weeks, then 26 more weeks of SEAL qualification training. Then specialization in whatever fields a SEAL team needs expertise in, anything from sniper to language specialist, rope climbing, diving, jumpmaster, surreptitious entry, dynamic entry, etc. Number 1. British SAS. The Special Air Service is trained to perform equally well in all the fields listed for the SEALs, but is also trained by MI5 and MI6 for in-depth counter-espionage, more so than the SEALs. Physical competency must be of equal stature to the SEALs, to the degree that both special forces work closely together when necessary with Iraq and Afghanistan, and have good camaraderie. They wear a tan beret, just as the US Army Rangers, and both the SAS and SEALs are trained in knife fighting by experts in Apache Indian knife techniques, as well as Sayak Kali, Krav Maga, Jeet Kune Do, and for the last 3 years or so, the KC fighting method, made famous by the Chris Nolan. They have the distinction of being the model on which almost all national commando units are based today, including every other entry on this list. That's all for today's video. Comment what you think of these top 10 below. So we really hope that you found that video interesting. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button below, and if you like to see more, subscribe for more top 10 videos.